Hello and welcome to my June 2025 garden tour. Today is the 21st of June. I was planning to do this on the first day of summer, only yesterday was the first day of summer. So here we are, just heading into our future food forest here. Got our silver buffalo berry, which is doing very well. Just popping along here. And I think we actually have silver buffalo berry growing wild now that I know what this stuff actually looks like. And so we have, I've been watering most of these, not the silver buffalo berry because they're doing so well, but I have been watering this one here, which is covered in webs. It is not doing well, I don't know why, and watering it doesn't seem to be making any difference. But I've also been watering the high bush cranberry. We got those, and they probably don't need it, but I've been watering the sea buckthorn as well. I got lots of daisies blooming right now. Those are all wildflowers, and I am very happy with how the mulberry bushes are doing. Mulberry trees, future trees. Got our first one here. And the second one is not doing as well, but it's still doing pretty darn good. And then we go into our new ones. I'm happy to see this growth spurt that the plum tree has taken. The branches got nice and big. We got gooseberry, and there's the apple tree. The haskap is recovering nicely from being transplanted. And then we have a bit of a surprise. This is where I planted royalty raspberry a few years back. A couple years ago, the second year, only one of them came up. This year I didn't think any of them survived. And then here we have it, a royalty raspberry. So that's added to my watering list. These are a purple variety. So that's how things are in our future food forest. And here we are moving into some reclaimed space. A couple years back we had this area all, with cardboard and straw mulch, and we planted potatoes and melons and all kinds of things. And then it flooded that year. We lost complete control over it, but I did manage to reclaim some of it. Our weed whacker broke down, our lawnmower's broken down, but thankfully my brother loaned us his, so I was able to mow this. And in this area over here, in the tall grass, I actually had to take out, hello Rolando, those logs right over there were buried in it, completely hidden by the grass, and most of the logs over here were also from there. This is where the next trellis bed is going to be built. And today I actually got the rest of the vertical posts on the trellis installed. And now that they're all in place, the ground is not level, so we had to put them in first. And then we're gonna cut the tops so they're all the same height. And then this over here is going to be the vertical. I dragged it out. I was going to cut it to 18 feet. Oh, Rolando, you're a sweetie. But then I ended up tripping and falling, and I'm actually kind of injured right now, so I had to stop, and quite nearly almost landed with one of these in my face. I did land face first on this. But yeah, I am okay. My arm is sore, but that's about it. Okay, so this is how we've got that down. I just cut notches in to fit, and then I have 3-inch deck screws holding them in place. So this netting, we'll be able to put some sort of trellis on top for these red noodle beans, which are growing so fast. And then we have, these are the Hopi Black Dye sunflowers. I have to switch hands because my left hand is really hurting. Got the onions that we planted last year. And then we have over here, there are 4 pumpkins from free pumpkin seeds that were given out in my mother's town for their pumpkin fest. And the fifth one is coming up. These sprouted so quickly. And a couple of flowers that I transplanted from the other end of the bed. And we have lots of little tiny onions that I found when I was cleaning this bed and transplanted, and they're self-seeded onions, so we'll see how they do. And over here, this is the second sowing of flowers in here. The first was the winter sowing. We planted a bunch of things that I don't know if they actually survived the winter or not, but they got completely rolled over and flattened by cats. So that's why this now has netting over it. And we have a spring sowing of nasturtiums, cosmos, and now that I've been able to weed this bed, you can see that the asters are coming up as well. Speaking of winter sowing, there's this bed over here, which we've harvested a fair bit out of it, so this is what's left. Got some beets, and radishes, carrots, onions, turnips, and this monstrosity is a radish that we're allowing to go to seed. I've been trying to do this for years because radishes have seed pods that I have read can be pickled and can taste quite good. So we will see how they are. I don't actually like radishes, so maybe I'll like the pods. And look at the size of that turnip. Looking good. All right, so this bed of winter sowing was a success. All right, in this bed we have, on this side, we have our melons. Right here's the Cream of Saskatchewan melons, and then we have honeydew melons and Sarah's Choice melon. And they looked really bad and ready to die for a while. As you can see, they've been struggling, but they do seem to be recovering. Hello, frog. And these collars are to help direct water to them because we've got a really dry year. So it looks like they are recovering. I'm happy to see that. And then over here we have the spoon tomatoes. And in front of the spoon tomatoes is supposed to be a row of purple bush beans. And unfortunately, none are showing up. There's one, there's two, and there was a third one over here, but something ate it. So, we're not having a good year for bush beans. And I don't know why. There's got my shadow over there. But the spoon tomatoes, they seem to be recovering. They did pretty poorly for a while there too. But they look pretty good now. And I'm hoping this trellis setup that I have for them and a separate one for the melons works out this year. Alright, in this bed we have two types of sugar snap peas. This side has super sugar snap peas. And I had more of them germinate than on this side, so these are just plain sugar snap peas. And there were some gaps, so I had extra red noodle beans. I put them in there and they just exploded. So I got some extra beans growing in between the peas. The carrots over here are the Uzbek golden carrots from our old seed tape, and they're doing okay. Although, if you look over here, this is all these are the elm seeds that are trying to kill everything. They're starting to come up now. Hello, Stinky. There's my boy. So, yeah, I've actually done considerable weeding in here. But yeah, these are probably the best peas we have had since we've tried growing peas. And there's even one that's starting to bloom. Can you focus? Focus. There you go. So I'm kind of happy with how these are turning out. I completely forgot to mention the carrots on this side are atomic red carrots, and they got a good germination rate over there. So across the way here we have our winter squash and Stinky. We got baked potato, mashed potato, and sunshine squash, and they suffered a fair bit. What are you doing with the bricks? What are you doing with the bricks? With their transplanting, but they seem to be recovering now. They did get hit with some kind of absolutely minuscule little bugs that were only on the flowers, but I was told that spraying with soapy water would help, and I've used it and it seems to have done the trick. So here we have our winter squash, which will hopefully grow nicely. There's lots of flowers. They're so small and there's so many flowers. And over here, this is where we winter sowed summer squash, and none of them came up. And we now have potatoes, Yukon potatoes. This bed is getting nice and big, so I was able to take off the protective netting and use it someplace else. Hey, stop that. And we have our garlic over here, which is also doing really well. I need to harvest these scapes. We got so many scapes. It's been crazy the past few days, so I haven't been able to do things that I should have been doing, and that includes harvesting the scapes. But well, it is what it is. So I'll get those probably tomorrow morning. Meanwhile, this was supposed to be winter sown with root vegetables. They didn't take over here because of creatures like that. So it's now covered, and I've got a green variety of zucchini called black zucchini and the white scallop squash planted in here. We've got only one white scallop squash growing, and you can see the elm seeds coming up. And lots of frogs. I love all the frogs. They are why I have not seen any slugs this year. So I'm very, very happy to see frogs. And we got plenty of the green zucchini growing. I'll probably thin those by transplanting later on. So we have another area here that is slowly being reclaimed. This was a squash patch for a couple of years in a row. And so far for this year, what I've done is I pulled the black mat back to expose this end. And it is now a permanent bed for asparagus, hopefully. And I planted some strawberries as well. So I've got something called Jersey Giant. I'm happy to say we actually have a couple of spears that came up. It was a really long time before I could plant them, and I don't think any of the strawberries have survived. All I see is more elm seeds. Lots of elm seeds, no strawberries. And over here, see, those are a white strawberry. These are a red strawberry, and then a purple asparagus over here. And I'm not seeing any purple, but since the Jersey Giants came up, I have some hope that we will actually get some asparagus. But I think the strawberries are a total loss. So I'll probably transplant other strawberries that we have into here. We'll see. Oh, and check out all those frickin' elm seeds. Got drifts of them. Alright, here we are at the winter sown bed. This one was also root vegetables, except I also added lettuce seeds to it, seeds that we had collected ourselves. And boy, did the lettuce do well. The lettuce is just choking everything out like a weed. We do have a few other things in there. There's some yellow radishes in here. I think those flowers are the yellow radish. And then we have some red radishes over here. And hiding in there is carrots and beets. And we need to actually, we eat lettuce, just not enough to clear this bed. So, well, we'll see how this works out. We have, like, this carrot here looks like it's bolting, so it might go to seed. We'll see. This bed, the netting that was around the potatoes, I moved over here this morning because we've had issues with the cats using it as a litter box. So we've got 3 different kinds of tomatoes here. And when I was planting beans in here, I had a few extra seeds and stuck them in here. They actually sprouted nice and fast. Got in between here. And then there was one over here and the cats dug it up. So that was killed off. And then aside from that, there was only one of the seeds that I planted that did not germinate, which is really amazing because on this side, I planted 3 rows of corn, 2 rows of the same beans, and only 1 bean germinated. I'm still not seeing any other beans. And again, there's netting around this bed to keep the cats out, and I had to do the same thing over here. Plastic is all I had to do that, but I planted some extra corn seeds in here, and they actually sprouted faster than the other ones. So I got corn over here, and then these are the Arikara squash, which is a rare variety that I plan to keep seeds for. So hopefully this plastic will keep the cats out and protect these poor little plants. Here we're in an area that has been mostly neglected. The sunchokes that are growing over here don't actually need much attention, so that's fine. That was a cat. There's a cat yowling. Okay, so there's actually, I see 3 sunchokes outside the fence. That would have spread on its own. I planted these ones in the middle when I harvested and replanted. But these ones that are farther out, those would be ones that I missed. And this is where our purple asparagus was planted. And I actually didn't expect any to show up because this area gets a lot of water in the spring, and I didn't know that when we planted this bed. Much to my surprise, we have strawberries. I did not expect the strawberries to survive. Between the deer eating them and the cats digging around them, I'm just amazed. So we have some strawberries. They will be transplanted. And then some purple asparagus. Here is where I winter sowed the tall and climbing things. And this bed is a complete loss. I have no idea what survived the winter because anything that did survive got rolled over by cats. I got this netting to put over to protect, and the cats do that. This is Sir Robin the Brave. What has done okay here is this lettuce. It's the same lettuce, and it's seeded itself. And we do have some onions in here that got transplanted, and they're getting rolled over by cats too. But see, look at this. Look at this bugger. This is Grommet. Grommet is under the netting. I'm not sure where he got in, but they managed to get in, and they use it as a litter. I gotta completely rethink how this bed is gonna be done. Hey, Grommet, no, don't panic, Grommet. This is Sir Robin's mother, Bressel. So yeah, I have to rethink this bed and figure out what to do. We have lettuce, and then we got some like flowers and stuff growing in here. Dude, you can get out this way. Here, go on out. You can go out here. Oh, and there's Gouda. Meanwhile, over here we have a haskap, which something is happening to it. This is not good, but there are berries on here. Just not very many. This is the pollinator one, which should be pollinating the other 2 haskap that we have. There's one little one over there and one older one over there, and they're just they don't bloom at the same time, so they can't pollinate. So that's why we got more haskaps in a different area. But berries are good. What little there are, because this one is self-pollinating. These ones, if any flowers happen to bloom when the other one still is, we might get a couple of berries, but not likely. These blocks I have completely ignored this year because we've just had too much stuff going on, and I just haven't made it to clearing these out. And over here we have a black currant bush. My mother had given me a seedling. She'd started from a cutting, and it's doing really well here, so eventually I want to put a frame around it to give it some support. All right, here we have the portable greenhouse that we got to try out this year, which was mostly a success, except that it was badly wind damaged. But we've got the loofah here and another over here to grow in here for the summer. Hopefully we'll actually get loofah and be able to climb up here. I had to put the collars on because the cats were lying in the pots. Here we have another area I've been neglecting, really. These are the 2 grape plants that we have, and we've got spirea that is taking it over. I can't get at it to pull it out. We really need to transplant these. I just don't have a place for them. So really the only thing I've done for around here, look at all baby grapes, is I've pruned it so it's not climbing these blinds anymore. But, you know, it's trying to reach for the blinds anyways. But But yeah, there, for all the neglect, we do have the beginnings of grapes happening. And hopefully this year we'll get to eat some before the raccoons eat them all. Hello, Gouda. And now we get into the old kitchen garden. Hello again, Gouda. We have my daughter's daffodils. They're double daffodils. Last year they tried to come up and then didn't, and so I'm surprised to see any come up this year. And then there's a single iris that was planted a few years back, and it's struggling to come through. There should be like a whole row of them. The walking onions are trying to walk. The herbs have handled being transplanted all right and are well protected from kitties. What I need to do, they've got good rhubarb this year, and obviously the chives are doing really well too, but I need to do something about this tree because we've pruned it back more than a few times, but it is grown back and it is completely shading this entire corner, so things are not thriving as they should, including a rose bush that we've got. Hello, Sir Robin. Beautiful thing. Meow. He meows silently. Okay, so we have to prune that back severely. Now in here, we got this rose bush. This is a very deadly rose bush. It's starting to bloom nicely. A whole bunch of it had died. I'd cut that out, and now I have this frame around it to keep it from falling into here. This is our greens bed that was winter sown. The spinach did well. They bolted very quickly, so I'm letting them go to seed. I mean, may as well. We have some garlic that got missed, grew itself. Harvested escapes on those. Just one Swiss chard survived. And just a couple of the bok choy. Hinu tiny bok choy. And I'm deliberately letting them go to seed, and you can see the pods. They're doing really well for the two that survived. Just a couple that I can find. And so I want to collect seeds from those. And then my first successful kohlrabi. Got the purple Vienna and the white Vienna. And I look forward to finally having some of my own homegrown kohlrabi. Hello, Grommet. And on this side, we have transplanted a mystery flower. And then we've got, these are the Turkish orange eggplant. These are the strawberries we grew from seed, which are really doing well. I was supposed to transplant them, didn't get to it, but we'll do that probably in the fall. Got some onions that got missed from previous years. Hello, frog. And then over here, we have the Sweetie snack mix of peppers, and they are also doing quite nicely over here. And then we got our second rhubarb patch. This patch never does as well as the other one. And when I trimmed, these asparagus have been here since about before. My mom says it was already here when they bought the property back in 1964. So these are ancient asparagus. They're still coming up. And I don't remember ever harvesting them. My mom just didn't, and I don't even. By the time we spot them, they're at this stage. But over here, I'd cut away a couple of grapevines, and I just stuck them in the ground, and we'll see if they survive or not. That's what we got over here. And these blocks, there's mint in some of them, some onions that had just from previous years trying to come up. But I really didn't do anything with these as well. Just, it was not a year for being on top of this stuff. I may not be on top of the other stuff there, but I did finally get into this area and weeded it. It was really bad. So this Liberty apple tree is doing well. This is the zone 4 one, so it needs extra protection. And much to my amazement, this is the saffron crocuses. These spindly, sickly looking green strands that you're seeing over there are a saffron crocus. So I don't know if they're going to make it, but it is what it is. And then we have the rest of this area has tulips in it. We didn't have a lot that actually bloomed, but a fair number did come up. Hopefully they will spread more because this is supposed to be tulips, not weeds. I did finally manage to get into here with the lawnmower. Got a couple of spots over here that were seeded with wildflowers, and I don't know how successful they were. I don't think anything made it in this patch that I sowed in the fall. Again, there's a lot of cat activity in here. I recognize the creeping bellflower, and nothing else looks like flowers that might have been seeded. And then we have another section over here that had flowers, wildflowers seeded in it. Again, I'm not sure what's from that and what isn't. Over there, hopefully we're gonna build a new garden shed, one that doesn't have a leaky roof and rotten walls. And I started to mow some of the paths. So I got one path over here. This section is where the snow crocuses were blooming. And in this section is where the grape hyacinths were blooming. And there's a little patch over here being choked out by creeping bellflower with strawberries in it. This is what our native strawberry, wild strawberry, looks like. Very tiny. Got a few of those showing up in there. And then over here we have what is probably the most liveliest dead tree ever. So the willow that fell last year, there is obviously still dead stuff that needs to be cleaned away, but it is absolutely exploding in new growth. Like, willow is amazing. It really is. Here we are in an area that I am always forgetting to go into. This is the outer yard, and we are extending our food forest into this area. And here we have our very first walnut tree. This one was a 1-year sapling that I got, and it is from a nursery that's fairly local and has the same climate zone that we do. So it should actually grow successfully here. And we go along, and here we have, there's an ash tree in here surrounded by alfalfa. This, my mother, I think, grew from seed and gave it to me, so I transplanted it here. There had been a Korean pine here. We had 6 Korean pine, and only 3 are still alive. And here we have, this is another walnut. This one is from seed. And then we have this other walnut, also from seed. And then this last one here, I found it dug up, but when I put the soil back, I did check and I did find the walnut seed in there. So there is still a possibility it might germinate, but I don't think so at this point. Now we have more that need to be planted if it hasn't been too long already. But excuse me, we have more walnuts to plant around here. And over here is one of our surviving Korean pine. And then, oh, so many daisies. And then we have another walnut was planted from seed over here. And this is actually in memory of Sir Robin's sister, Kale, who did not make it, I'm afraid. So we have a walnut in her memory. And here we have another Korean pine. And these are protected with cages as much for us to find them as they are to keep the deer from either chomping on them or walking on them. And here we have our last surviving Korean pine. So, it'll probably be another 8 or 10 years before we actually have pine nuts to harvest. But yeah, that's what we have out in our outer yard area. This is also our backup driveway. So that's it for this year. This is our 2025 garden. That's what we've managed to get done so far. Still lots of work to do, of course. But We didn't overdo it this year. Last year I kind of overdid it. But we made do with the space we have, and we are making progress in reclaiming other space. So I'm happy with what we've got so far. And with these beautiful flowers